Hey, friends, welcome back to John's Comics with Kids and an ongoing Silver Age show. You might think that someone who accidentally triggered a gamma explosion and turned their friend into the Hulk wouldn't necessarily be the kind of person you'd want leading the Team Brigade and assisting the Avengers. But that's Rick James, man. No, that's Rick Jones. And he was our MVP last time. Who would have thunk it? And can he do it again? Yes, that's right. Avengers versus Justice League has returned. We're now 14 issues in to this Silver Age comic book team battle show off, although kind of a runaway at this point, Ryan.
Oh, it sure is. And some months or some episodes, one book just seems to dominate. Sometimes, the other book seems to dominate for a little bit too. Like, last month or last time we did this show, I think I was all about that Avengers book 100%. Like, I think everywhere we went, it was all about that Avengers book. And we got a conclusion to it tonight, to the story.
Yes.
So that would be kind of exciting.
But the chat was feeling pretty strongly, split on the book last time. The books last time, and then I think overall, what are we at? Like, it's like, I don't know, 8-5 or something like this. Like, Avengers is really taking a shellacking here.
That's right. It is JLA 9. JLA 8, Avengers 5.
Okay, good. I had it right.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, we are going issue by issue through these two Silver Age team comic books, comparing the covers, the interior art, the stories, the major important characters in them, and then breaking it all down so that you in the chat can tell us which is the better comic. Tell us which is the better read, the better book. What would you pick up if you were going to read one of these two comics again? So far, JLA making a strong showing, and I got to say, I'm kind of agreeing with it. Overall, I think I would score it similarly. Maybe not identically 8-5, but it's certainly not a 7-7 split for me.
Yeah. And these books right now, with what we're covering tonight, issue 14, were published within 2.5 years of each other. So the Justice League book was published first, and then 2.5 years later, the Avengers issue 14 was published. Now, as we keep going on in our series here, eventually the tables will flip, because JLA wasn't monthly. It was mostly monthly, but not always. And eventually, Avengers will have released their issue number whatever first before Justice League. So that will be kind of fun as the gap keeps narrowing in.
And that's news to me. So you told me that before we went live, and I was like, oh, that's something I had never heard of with these books, because I assumed that they would always outpace each other, or that the Justice League would continue to outpace. And that's interesting. I know that eventually you even mentioned there's a reprint section where JLA starts reprinting some of the issues we've already discussed here on the show.
Yeah.
So
and we got a while to go.
Get creative until we're talking. Don't worry, fans. We're talking like year 4 or 5 of this show. We're not talking, next month.
Yeah, not at all.
So let's say hello to our Earth's mightiest chatters tonight. The on my channel, your Avengers here, friends. It doesn't matter what you're voting for. What is up, Rob Boswell? Rolling in here, tailgating early. I appreciate you, my friend. He's keeping score. Yes.
Okay.
Got to keep score. Score matters. Scoreboard. And yes, one of the earliest members from my channel, Rob Boswell, holding it down, my friend. And
can't believe that's 7 months already.
It's gone by so fast, and I am very grateful to you, sir. So let me play. Let me do a little. We built this city.
We built this city on rocket. Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, you were muted for a second.
I think I was frozen is what happened on my end.
You were frozen for a second.
I warned you before I went live. I was like, something's weird, because I pushed the countdown timer and it was like all of a sudden it said 25. And I was like, okay, there were some numbers missed there.
Yeah.
Hopefully that video played right.
It did. It did play right. The city was still built on rock and whoa.
I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad. Is Rob at Dollywood tonight? It doesn't sound like it. He's at Dolly's Wood. It's a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
Rob,
usually I think when he's at Dollywood, I don't think he comes in the chats because he's too busy.
I mean, I wouldn't want to come into a live stream if I was doing that. Derek is also in the chat, telling people to hit the like button. I appreciate you, sir.
Yeah,
much appreciated. 8-5 is still better than the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I know enough about sports to know that that's probably a sick burn. We got Rod the Rican in the chat. What's going on, my comic book homie? We got to do a show together, Rod. Let's figure out something to do this summer. Let's do something fun together. Carlito Classico is in the chat. What's going on, Carlito? We got Comic Cap Collectibles in the chat. Hello, my good friend. What's going on? So there you go, Earth's mightiest chatters. We'll continue to shout you out as we go along, and you are the deciding voter. So hang out. Let us know your thoughts on each stage of the show. And of course, vote at the end when we get there and drop the starting line to decide what the score is going to be next time when we're over on Ryan's channel. The links are all there for Ryan's channel down below. And some point here in July, we'll be firing this show up again to get into issue 15. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk covers. I would love to see your copy of issue 15 because, gang, if you don't know the facts, our guy Ryan here, he is 2 issues now, 2 away from having the entire volume 1 of Justice League of America.
Getting there. And the 2 issues I need are in the teens. We haven't gotten to them yet. So
getting there. We just the teens last time, so we are.
Yeah. So I do have a little bit of story for this one. You might remember when we did issue 6, I believe it was 6. I said that was the oldest Justice League that I had in my collection for many years. As a childhood collector, I bought it as a back issue.
Okay.
This was the second oldest Justice League I had since I was a little kid. I bought it as a back issue, and the comic store, I got it from the same store that I got the other issue from. And after I bought that one, I don't mean the same day or anything, but, I keep checking in what Justice Leagues do they have? What's the oldest one that they have? And at one point they had this one, which was surprisingly in my budget. So for the longest time, this was my second oldest Justice League comic book in my collection. Now it is my 14th oldest Justice League comic book in my collection.
Times have changed.
Yeah. So that's how that came into my collection.
I find this cover very funny. And I put when you shared on Instagram your story, and I always added music. I need music. So I added a song from The Big Lebowski because this gives me bowling vibes. Obviously, there's a bowling theme here to this cover.
See, I think more Grease 2. We're going to score tonight.
Do you have any thoughts on this cover? What are your feelings about it?
I like it. I think it's a great way. I mean, one of the big challenges that any artist has when you're working on a team book is to get all your characters in there, get them the same amount of space, make them visible. If anything, Adam's too big on the cover, but I understand why you have to do that because you have to show that he's going to be part of this, a major part of this issue.
Right.
And I think it's creative. I bet this, I don't really think of a lot of bowling covers from the Silver Age. I'm sure there's probably some out there, but it's creative. And I think someone on a spinner rack or at a drugstore back, in 1962 when this came out, saw this and just thought from the novelty of it, how much fun this book would be and would pick it up just for that reason.
I like that you said like from the Silver Age, as if there were other ages that would have a ton of bowling covers.
Yeah,
those Bronze Age bowling covers are just everywhere.
Yeah,
I think you could just make a blanket statement. How many bowling covers can you think of? Because I can't think of very many.
But it's really good. I mean, you get all your heroes lined up there, literally, and it's easy to understand what's going on with this issue. They're playing off of the menace of the atom bomb, which at that time was something that was in the news.
Yep.
So I think that this has a lot going for it.
I got a giggle out of Aquaman, the Peekaboo Aquaman.
Yeah, Peekaboo.
Yep. He's just poking out there in the back.
Yep, exactly.
Poor Aquaman. All right. Well, then let's switch over. Oh, so I didn't give my thoughts on it. Sorry. I love the perspective. The angle on this is fascinating. I like the color usage. So the black background, the bowling pin structure that you're talking about. And then, yeah, the perspective allows Atom to still be tiny, but framed close enough to the viewer to appear similarly sized to the rest of the team. So all that works for me. A surprising amount of talking for a Justice League cover, usually a little bit less on the word balloons. So we got a thought bubble, and we got a little placard there with some information as well. So
yeah,
some goodies.
Yeah.
Let's swap over and say hello to Steve and Spock. What's up, Steve? I hope Spock is doing well tonight. I hope things are going well on your Wednesday night, your new comic book day. So here is my issue 14. And I snagged this. I want to say this is one of the rare ones I think I went and got as I realized, I kind of have a run going here. Maybe I need to snag some of these. And I want to say my LCS got a little collection in at some point and had some non-key Avengers issues floating around, and I snagged this one. I think that's how I got it. It's a lower mid-grade issue. It's got a pretty gnarly spine tick right there. You can see right underneath the
beautiful colors on your copy.
Yeah, strong colors. I really liked it. It holds together well. Things I like about this cover, somebody put Stan Lee in a space and said, look, you're a little wordy on your covers, my guy. You need to take it down a notch. And we finally, I think this is the first time I'm willing to say we finally have an Avengers cover that's not chock-a-block with words. So I'm happy about that. I will say it is not a striking cover. I think it's a little bit muddled. It's hard to kind of see what's going on. There's way too many henchmen here to even try to manage. And as a result, some of the characters are kind of getting lost inside here. I feel like you just got the guys, right? Yeah. I don't even know. This is like a find the wasp game, and there's no wasp. So, yeah, I'm not blown away by it. I like the colors. I do enjoy the perspective well enough. Again, talking to your point, like the one guy who's a different size than the other team members. But it's just a little bit of a jumbled mess to me. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like how they have Ant-Man kind of confined in the back and still, like I said, shows off the spatial differences. You're right that the baddies, the henchmen are, they kind of get lost, but the advantage to that is it makes the colors on our heroes' costumes really pop. Maybe with the exception of Captain America. Yeah,
Cap blends in, but Thor and Iron Man stand out.
They really stand out really well. So I do like that. It's an interesting environment. You can obviously tell they're in some type of Arctic environment. I think that purplish sky / background is always a great use when you use that. However, is this the cover if someone says the issue is going to be called Even an Avenger Can Die? This is not what I would expect a cover to look like. I would expect Wasp to be the focal point of the cover, maybe with her being held and them surrounding, or something to that effect, or something more with her focused on it. Yeah. But is this cover more true to the story than the scenario I described? Yes, it is.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough. We got some new friends in the chat. We're discussing which book has the better cover. We got Matthew in the chat. What's going on, Matthew? We got Kenneth Bird in here. What's going on, Kenneth? And we got Drew Manchu, baby. Drew, I hope you're doing well, my friend. So yeah, let us know in the chat. You can vote now which cover you would prefer. If these two covers were sitting on the shelves, Avengers 14 or Justice League 14, you're not trying to make money. You're just trying to find a good team comic book in that Silver Age era. What are you buying? Which one is the purchase? Let's do you have any thoughts on that, Ryan? What's the one that instantly is like, is there a clear winner for you? Where are you at?
Yeah, tonight I have a clear winner. And I see some Avengers votes coming in, and I'm going to have to absolutely disagree. This is so much more. I really like this cover.
Sure. And why is what's the deciding factor for you?
The characters are showcased more, easier to identify. They all get about equal footing, except for the Atom, who should be featured a little bit more because it's his issue to become a member. So tonight, essentially, we're saying one book is getting a new member, and another book lose a member.
Fair, yeah.
But how about you? I mean, for me, it was the Justice League. This seems to be much more an iconic cover too.
Okay. I mean, I certainly think it's an atypical cover is what I like about it. And for me, I was very split on these. Neither one is a clear winner to me. I think they both have their pluses and minuses. I don't think either one is like I love that cover kind of thing. I feel like in this case, I think the characters kind of get lost in here a little bit, like a Where's Waldo for me. I don't necessarily love the fact that there's so much blue and costuming going on here that really it's harder to kind of pick out what's going on. I am giving Stan Lee huge praise for having fewer balloons, and I think ultimately that's why I would pick this one. Is I want to give him encouragement.
Okay.
I want to tell Stan Lee that he doesn't need to fill his covers with word balloons. And so in the end, I think I'm picking Avengers for that reason. Whereas what I like about the JLA cover is it's atypical. Like you don't see that cover often. It's very different. But I also feel like it's a little goofy. It looks more like he's playing marbles, and I don't know. It's a Silver Age goofiness for sure. But it wasn't enough for me, I think.
Okay.
Drew's got some big feelings. But we're going to move on. So far, the chat is picking Avengers, but we're going to get into some substance here, right? We're going to get into the core of these books. So the next section of what we do is we're going to get into the stories. We're going to share these stories with you. We're going to break them down, and then we'll compare the two stories, and you guys can tell us which one is better. So I'm going to let you go first. You're going to share the Justice League story, and I'm going to make myself bigger on the screen and hold it up for you.
Okay, sounds good. So very typical, the Menace of the Atom Bomb. Our first page splash is kind of a different telling of the cover.
Right.
And when the bomb crashes into the Justice League members, the resulting explosion will destroy them and me as well.
No.
So as the story starts, we're in the cave secret sanctuary, and the Justice League has all decided we need to vote in a new member. Batman and Superman have proxy votes since they're not in right now. And Snapper's reading the results here. And unanimous, they've all decided to vote for the Atom. What? They're like, okay, great, the Atom. Then they're like, wait a minute, who's the Atom? No one seems to remember him. So Flash tells Green Lantern, why don't you ask your ring? It's all knowledgeable. So the ring informs the members who the Atom is. And I like that they recap a little bit some of the first Silver Age adventures of Ray Palmer here. In just a few panels recapping them. He's based in Ivy City. He's done this. He's fought these villains. And
right.
They're like, this is interesting. I wonder why we have no memory of him. Maybe we should go to Ivy City. So Martian Manhunter decides, yep, I'll head to Ivy City and tell him what's going on, see if anything's happening with him, or maybe he knows why this is going on. And then Flash says, we'll all close this meeting and return homeward, where each of us will be ready to get your emergency signal when you find something out. So as we head into chapter 2, we're in Ivy City. It's a courtroom. The Atom is testifying. And as he's being sworn in, they ask him his name. And he says, my name is. And at that moment, there's someone in the audience that has fired, unbeknownst to anyone else, some type of gadget at the Atom. And he can't remember his name. Not only does he not know his name, no one in the courtroom seems to know who he is either. And there's some distress about who is this person that's in these court proceedings. And they all start to grab him. And he decides, holy geez, I need to make a break for it. And he takes off and escapes out, even though he doesn't know who he is or what's going on. So all of this has been witnessed by Mr. Memory, who is gathered. He's in this cloak there. And you just see these blue hands and can't really make out a face or anything. And he's surrounded by a bunch of villains. And he has shown them that the dememorizer works very well. They don't know who they are. Martian Manhunter's made it to Ivy City. He's flying around. He says it's kind of like a needle in a haystack, but he's hoping his Martian vision will find the Atom sooner or later. In the meantime, Green Lantern's over Coast City, and there's Hector Hammond. And he's like, ooh, I remember fighting him before. I need to catch him. I don't know how he broke out. And Hector's like, you tried to stop me before. I could become the most powerful person on Earth, but this time I've turned the evolution meteor on myself. And as he runs into this room, there's all these different copies of him. So how is he going to tell who is the real one? He uses his ring to make the room a heat ray in his room, which causes sweat, which only the real one would be able to sweat. And that's how he deduces who it is. And as soon as he does, he fires this other gizmo, just like that was fired at the Atom. And he doesn't remember. Hal doesn't remember now who he is. And Hector Hammond leads him to that mysterious figure, Mr. Memory, again. We cut over to Central City. There's the Pied Piper, and Flash makes an appearance, and he knows that he's about to get beat. So what does he do? When Flash is going to stop him, he fires that gun at him. Same result, doesn't know who he is. We cut over underseas on the coast of California, where the Sea Thief, who Aquaman's been hunting for, is spotted by him. And Aquaman goes to try to apprehend him. Yep, same thing. Angleman is up next, and Wonder Woman is jumping off her jet. He always has an angle. And these rockets are being fired at him, or at her, from him at her. And as she goes to defend them, she gets hit with this gizmo, and she doesn't know who she is. She gets caught. All these people, although you don't see it at this point, are all being taken back to that mysterious cloaked figure. Green Arrow sees a runaway balloon that he's going to stop, and Dr. Davis, his old enemy, stops by and fires that gun right at him too. Justice League don't know who they are right now. Back in Ivy City, so Martian Manhunter is looking for the Atom, and that mysterious cloaked figure has been alerted to this presence, and he's trying to figure out what Martian Manhunter's doing here. Martian Manhunter does see the Atom, even though he's really microscopic. He goes to come down and try to talk to him. Well, to the Atom, he looks like a huge, I want to say it, a huge green giant. Ho, ho, ho. And all of a sudden, to Martian Manhunter, he just disappears. But what happened to the Atom? As we start out chapter 3, the Atom has shrunk so tiny that he's even invisible to the naked eye. So he goes from like a 6-inch form down to so microscopic that he's in between microorganisms. And that becomes completely overwhelming. And he's able to pop out of that and see what's going on, where this cloaked figure has now taken possession of the Martian Manhunter. So Atom, I love that he bends this twig back, and then he flies over, so he lands on the vehicle and can be taken to wherever that this cloaked figure has taken Martian Manhunter. So all the heroes have been gathered. All the villains have reunited with the dememorizer that they fired at the heroes, and they're having a conference about it. And Atom starts to climb up the cloak of this mysterious figure. And he's working his way on up. He's so tiny that, they don't even feel that he's on them. But he whops a huge punch finally at this cloaked figure, which knocks him down. But it also makes Atom go flying as well. He hits, his body hits and ricochets off of something, a table or something. And now this cloaked figure has him, decides, oh, I know what to do. I'm going to put him in a glass bomb filled with powerful explosive gas. He had originally intended to use these to blast open bank vaults, but he'll put Atom in there. He'll set the Justice League up as bowling pins, and when the Atom crashes into him, the Justice League will be destroyed, Atom will be destroyed, and everyone's blown to smithereens. Villain should win.
That old trick again.
Yep. So he goes, he essentially, he's got the Justice League lined up, he fires. Atom has regained consciousness, and he's like, he instantly knows what's going on, and he starts by increasing his weight and slamming himself back and forth across the glass. He's trying to change the angle of the course so it can miss the Justice League entirely. And you see that he's kind of going around their feet a little bit. And then he finds the seal where the two pieces of glass are put together, and he's able to shrink down tiny enough to get out of there. And he starts diving for Green Lantern's legs. And he's at his 6-inch form right now. He's 6 inches tall now, and weighing 180 pounds, he'll knock Green Lantern off of his pins. So he knocks Green Lantern down, and with his hand landing, he says, I know his ring is powered by willpower. Hopefully my willpower can work on it. So he starts to see if it does, and he uses his willpower. Luckily, it does work exactly as he thought it would. And he's able to stop that bomb from hitting them and to use the willpower of the ring to restore the memories of the Justice League members. So now they're conscious. They not sure how they got there, but they know who everyone is. They're wondering, hey, where's the Pied Piper? Where's Angleman? Where are all these people? Adam's here, and they seem to know who he is now too. So everything seems to be restored. And then the one responsible for all these problems in that hood is Mr. Memory. And it's time to unveil him. And in a Scooby-Doo moment, they rip the cloak back to find that it's Batman. How is this possible? You know, the sinister mind who invented the dememorizer is their fellow member Batman? We cut over to chapter 4, and they decide, because Batman can't explain it, so they're going to use Green Lantern's ring on him and to tell everything he knows. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, it feels so good to be myself again. I was pursuing the Joker in an abandoned warehouse when all of a sudden I didn't know who I was or what I was doing. The real Mr. Memory had aimed and fired his dememorizer at me. He took me to his hideout and fitted me out with his cloaked hood. So he was completely brainwashed, and he's being instructed on what to do. And the real Mr. Memory is saying, I'm going to operate through you because I don't trust the crooks whom I deal with, and I'm afraid of what the Justice League might do to me if anything goes wrong. You're going to be my eyes and my ears and my voice, and I'll be safe here while you're taking all the risks for me. So they say, well, we have to catch the real Mr. Memory. You know, where's his hideout? Where is it? And he's like, I don't know. They blindfolded me, you know, when I was there, and when I left, I never got a good look at it. And they're like, well, by the time we figure this out, he could make a good escape. And Martian Manhunter says, not necessarily, come with me. So Flash and Martian Manhunter take off, and all of a sudden they rip the door down and burst in. And this man is shocked that they are there, and they've taken him by surprise. Mr. Memory is really Professor Amos Fortune, who we had back in Justice League issue number 6, when they had that Wheel of Misfortune, if you remember, on the cover. That's who we're dealing with now. And he says, after you jailed me, I decided not to trust luck anymore. When I was in prison, I had enough scrap parts to make this dememorizer and escape. Then I had the idea of using it on the Justice League so I could rob where and when I wanted to. But how did you find me? And they said, well, Batman didn't know, but your electronic devices hooked to his cloak supplied the answer. They gave out frequency pulsations, which Martian Manhunter could see with his Martian vision. So he followed them back to the source, which is how they found him. Now, back in the cave hideout, essentially the tale is wrapped up, and they're inviting Adam to become a member. He says, awesome, you know, I'm going to join. So, and before they start telling Snapper so he could record this official event, they have a special gift for the Atom, and it's his little own tiny Atom chair. And at that moment, Superman has arrived too, from returning from the Phantom Zone to see what's going on. So Adam's got his tiny little chair now, and they say, look, there's a special feature if you press the button, and it propels him up so he can be at the same eye level with the rest of the League. He's the newest, smallest, but newest member of the Justice League now. And they say, Snapper will tell you about our latest adventure, which would have ended disastrously for us, but for the fortunate fact that we voted the Atom into the Justice League. And that's how the issue wraps up.
There you go. Good job. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I will set that aside here. Make some room so I can switch around with you. Hello to Jean Malo. Bonsoir, my friend. I hope you're doing well this evening. Thank you for hanging out with us. So that was the JLA, Justice League of America, issue 14. We're going to switch around, and now I will give you the recap for the Avengers issue number 14. And much like the JLA book, yes, we get a splash page, but in this case, it's not to remind us of the cover. It's to remind us of where we left off. For those that weren't there for issue 13, it had a massive, I think for the first time ever, cliffhanger. And Wasp was in a state of near death, gang. It was very exciting. So yes, they're rushing to aid. They go to a hospital. And they come flying into the hospital, and they're trying to explain to the doctors what she needs. Of course, this puts Donald Blake in an awkward position because he can't really explain why he knows all these medical things, but he's also aware, I can't save her. We need a professional. right? And so they start studying what's wrong with her. And the doctor says, look, we need to get some x-rays. We need to do some things. Just chill in the waiting room, all you colorful people. He comes out a little later with the x-rays and he's saying she's got only 48 hours to live. She's going to die in 2 days, gang. This is some serious stuff. So, of course, that means you pick up the doctor and you shake him. That's the logical thing that you do. You shake him. And that makes the doctor realize, you know what? I didn't realize there's actually, we actually can't save her. Wait. There's a guy. There's a doctor in Norway named Svensson. Go get that doctor. Bring him here. We might have a solution. Then they all turn to Thor. They're like, Thor, you're the only guy that can get there and back in time. So he swings his hammer, goes flying off to this laboratory, and he finds Dr. Svensson, who's looking a little haggard. I got to say, looking a little haggard. And Thor's like, look, I can't explain this to you. But instead, I'm going to pick you up and fly you to back to New York, and we'll figure it out on the way. And he does. He flies him all the way back, and they're standing in front of the patient. They're ready to work on him, and then the guy says, "But I'm not really Dr. Svensson." And he pulls off this plastic mask, and he's some kind of an alien. And before he can explain too much of who he is and what's going on, he dies right there in the room. And they're all like, "Wait, what is going on?" Of course, another Hank Pym meltdown. He's slamming his fist on the ground. My wife's going to die. These guys aren't help, although they're not married at this point, are they?
No.
My girlfriend's going to die. Mm-hmm. It's all bad news. And then they're like, wait. No, the alien said that the real Dr. Svensson is somewhere else. We could find him. But maybe we find him. We solve this alien invasion problem. We go find him. So they spread out, and each one of them has a different way to try to figure it out. Ant-Man has this machine where he's going to connect to ants all around the globe and see if they can find him. Cap goes and checks with the Teen Brigade. Hey, guys, can you get on the radios? Can you figure it out? Tony Stark is like, I'm going to launch this Geiger counter missile thing in the air. It's going to check. Thor goes to Asgard, and he's like, guys, can you, all seeing? Can you find where this thing is? Nobody seems to have any great ideas. They're all getting to another Hank Pym meltdown moment. But soon they decide, no, you know why we can't find him? Because we're not checking the North and South poles. So they immediately board a ship and fly to the North Pole, and they start using the hammer to detect the energy that they're looking for. And they find it. They find a spot where they need to start digging, and they start using tools to break the ice and dig down. And of course, they go a little bit too quickly and land in a bit of a trap because they're now surrounded by some aliens, and it's instant fight time. The aliens seem to be using some rays that are freezing heroes, and that Hank Pym's got to break out of it. The rest of the team is pushing them back, and they run away to this really bizarrely colored, unusual underground city. And when they're in there trying to gain an understanding of it, they are blasted by a special ray from these aliens and sort of paralyzed, and then brought to their fearless leader, Ogor. And Ogor is basically the leader of this group, and he basically gives the backstory. He's like, look, we're aliens from another planet. We were struggling to survive. Our home world was destroyed, and we needed to find a new home. And so what we did was we traveled the galaxy looking for the place where we could survive. Your atmosphere, the oxygen, is not acceptable for us. So we found that if we buried ourselves underground and used special breathing apparatus, we could survive. But that's why the alien died. That was pretending to be Svensson. They took his breathing apparatus and off with his mask, and he perished. So they're basically saying, no, we've got to get out of here. We don't want to stay here. We're certainly not going to help you, giving you Dr. Svensson. He's the one creating these breathing machines for us, giving us this special oxygen. So we can't give you the guy who's keeping us alive. Of course, this makes our team upset. And they break into another little brawl again. The Avengers are hitting them. They're hitting the Avengers. Nobody's really listening to anybody. Nobody seems willing to help in any way. I love the Giant Man grabs a whole handful of these guys and tosses them over his shoulder. Cap is doing his flips and hits and stuff. Iron Man really using those repulsors to create some disco moves here that are really working. And then lastly, Thor. He's just like, gang, this is not acceptable. And he throws the hammer around and knocks them all down. And this brings Dr. Svensson, looking not so haggard, out of the wings of the theater. And he's like, look, no. We don't need to fight. I'm Dr. Svensson. please stop. I will help you. I'm not going to just help these aliens blindly anymore. I want to help the Wasp. So let's find a solution to all of this stuff. He says, look, these aliens are incredibly powerful. We can't just leave them to their own devices. And that's because there's another alien group coming to Earth, and they're going to be the bigger problem. We can't just leave them to their own devices. They're going to get killed, right? So now we've got another group coming to Earth, and they even show like an attack on the moon, which was an outpost that the aliens on Earth were using. So the satellite that was on Earth, the outpost was destroyed, and they're under attack. And so now there's like, who's going to fight for who? What's going to happen here? In the end, the aliens are like, fine, we'll give you your doctor back. We've got bigger fish to fry. We're about to be destroyed here. So Dr. Svensson goes back to New York with a sort of like a little, they call it the matter displacer that teleports them to New York. And Dr. Svensson runs in and starts working on saving the Wasp. He comes out and says, I'll do what I can. We'll hope for the best, and everybody can pray. Meanwhile, the aliens are back to dealing with the fact that there's creatures coming. There's going to be this showdown. They're saying that the time has come. Into our ships, Earth can shelter us no longer. We will meet our enemies in the void of space. So they are taking off to go have this space battle, and it ultimately is like a bit of a cheat because we don't really get it. They just fly off into outer space, and we end up going to the big baby, the Watcher. And he basically comes in and says, I can tell you what's going to happen, but I'm not going to do that. We could tell you in another comic, but we're not going to do that either. Instead, all I can tell you is Wasp is going to live. And that's the end of the book. So there you go, gang. That's my Avengers recap. And now, friends, you have heard both stories. Avengers 14, Justice League of America 14. Let us know which story you thought was better. Ryan, walk me through your feelings on this Justice League. Well, no, the Avengers is probably, yeah, let's do Avengers. It's more in our memory bank. What were your feelings about this Avengers story?
So, as I mentioned before, last episode we did, I loved that Avengers story. Mm-hmm. Left on a cliffhanger. I'm like, if I'm getting more of what I had last month, I can't wait to read this. And when it came time, I had read the Justice League book, but it had been decades since I had read it. So it's nowhere. Might as well have been a new read for me.
Okay.
But in choosing between the two, I'm like, I want to read Avengers first because that's the one I'm most excited about reading.
Sure.
When I sat down and started into it, I got into the very second page, which is this page. All you need to just generally see is this page. And I thought, holy moly, there is a lot of text on this page. And I'm like, sometimes that can be a bad signal.
Okay.
I don't know why. I'm like, and I found that to be the entire way. I was so disappointed in this story. Some of it didn't need to be. Some of it was just so repetitive. The Wasp, who they're framing this entire sense of urgency, might as well not have even been in the book. I don't know. For as much as I loved the previous story, I equally just disliked this story.
Well, I am shocked at how much I agree with you. I absolutely thought this book is a mess. Like it's like they took the stuff that should have been most interesting and threw it out, and instead wrote this wholly other book that is full of things that we don't see. It's almost a joke that the stuff that is exciting is kept from us and we don't get to see it. And then it's like, what more can they throw in? Hey, we're throwing in aliens, but not only that, we're throwing in 2 alien groups. And not only that, they're going to fight, only we're never going to show it to you. Instead, we're going to throw the Watcher in at the end and tell you what you could have seen, but you didn't see it because it wasn't in this book. And all of it because like, wrap your brain around this stupid plot. The doctor's like, we can't save her. And then they shake him. And then he's like, oh, wait, there's an idea. I got an idea. Wait, we can save her. Yeah. And then it's like, there's a doctor in Norway. Norway's a big country, gang. But Thor flies right there and finds the one guy named Svensson in all of Norway and flies the doctor back. Turns out to be an alien. So now they've got to like find where the aliens are living and use all these devices to find them, only to then like be battling the aliens because the aliens need it. This plot is awful.
And then the aliens are going to fight other aliens and all the backstory stuff with the aliens. Those pages could have been, I would have so much preferred if they would have cut to the Wasp and she's calling for them or something, or saying, help me, someone help. You know, that would have, to me, packed so much of a more emotional punch.
It just, it felt stupid to me. And every time the stakes felt like they were going to get interesting, they ran off to something different. And it was like, it was useless in the end, and it felt unnecessary. And again, it robbed the drama of the story from being anything of worth. So I don't care about Svensson. I don't care about the aliens A, and I don't care about A. Now you throw aliens B, and I certainly don't want any of the Watcher. Get this guy out of here. This whole thing, it just derails, man. This story is off the rails in so many ways. And frustrating to read, actually. So there you go. Shots fired. You think JLA is silly? Let's get into JLA then, because you're saying it's got stakes, it's got threatening villains. I disagree with both. I think it had stakes, and then it pissed it away.
I think the only stakes were at the restaurant they ate at before they started this adventure.
Yes, the barbecue they went beforehand.
I mean, at this point, I even would have settled for Jan to come conscious for a minute and say, don't cancel my hair appointment. Even something horrible like that would have been better than the alien stuff that doesn't matter. But anyway, we'll go over JLA.
Yeah, let's go over JLA, because I will say, like, this story, as silly as it is, and let's be honest, it's Silver Age comic books. Like, it should be silly. It's going to be. If you don't like silly comics, you shouldn't be reading Silver Age comics. Like, it's just, if you don't want them silly, that's just not what to do. But for me, a ton of this worked. I loved the Batman reveal. Like, who doesn't want to make Batman the jerk in the end of this? Like, that was fantastic.
Did you know it was Batman before the reveal?
No clue.
I did. I did, and you know, it's not because I remembered it. When I saw the gloves,
the blue gloves,
I'm like, it's Batman. I know it's Batman.
Here's why that reveal works, because Batman and Superman are almost never in these books. I know Drew made that comment earlier, and that was kind of the point. Like, they wanted to sell other characters. They wanted to hype up other characters. So I was just assuming this would be another book where Batman's in one panel at the end, like Superman is. But instead, no, he plays a vital part. He's drawn really well. I really like the way they use him as a twist. The only two parts I don't like, and they're quibbles in some ways. Number one is the whole, like, I'm gonna make them bowling pins and make a bomb out of a hollow bowling ball that the atom is inside, and that's it's typical Silver Age, like, I'm going to slowly lower you over a vat of electric piranhas with lasers on their heads. Like, it's such a ridiculous plot that it strains the incredulity. Like, I struggle to just, like, be there for it. So it didn't ruin the book, because again, it's only like 2 pages in the comic, but it is a little ridiculous. And then the other thing is, they rush the resolution for me.
They do.
Like, how do you figure out where the real villain is? Should have been exciting. It should have been a moment for Batman to shine. He had been a victim up to this point. If he had used his amazing detective skills to solve it, instead of having Flash and Martian Manhunter go, wait a second, and then they just run off and catch the bad guy. Like, I feel like that was rushed. And so those were the only flaws for me. But how are you feeling about this book?
The story definitely had a better flow to it. And when I was reading that Avengers, I just kept, almost with every next page, I'm like, oh, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. This one, I'm like, it just stayed consistent throughout the entire story. It was a little bit rushed in the parts. I liked when they were talking about Adam, that, they essentially gave for those, and it wouldn't have been that old at the time, maybe just a year or two, but literally, like, when you see this panel, that was the cover of his first Silver Age
appearance
and showcase. You know, I mean that's
a slightly different perspective, but
yeah, it's a different perspective, but that's the cover.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I like that. Sometimes the JLA chapters seem to be a little bit long. What I liked what they did this time that they typically don't do. Usually they pair each 2 or 3 off at a time, and they didn't do that this time. And I think this worked a little bit better.
It broke the format for sure.
It did, and I like that.
Okay.
So I think that might have also contributed to being a little bit smoother read. It wasn't that typical formula for me.
Well, it seems like you and I are then in agreement overall, despite quibbles. One book clearly for the two of us, at least, not for Drew. Drew's voting Avengers, but everybody else in the chat can vote which one they would prefer. I'm going Justice League just on story. I picked Avengers for cover. I'm going Justice League for story. I just feel like it's not. They're both silly, to be fair.
Oh yeah,
Drew. Like they're both Silver Age comics, so they're both silly. The silliness worked better in the Justice League for me, and it fit the characters, and I love the Batman reveal, and I love the way that played out. And we'll get into art here in just a second. Versus, I think there were a lot more like tripping over their own shoes going on in the Avengers book as far as the plot. Just like they just threw so much stuff at this plot and didn't ever actually like craft something exciting or interesting. So that's where I'm at with it. But Drew says Avengers. He's the only one in the chat voting right now because the chat has dwindled a little bit. So Drew might be able to swing the chat in the end for this voting. But we're going to jump to interior artwork. So here's where we talk a little bit about art styles going on here. Obviously, there's been a consistency in the Justice League omnibus. Mike Sikowski holding it down for this entire omnibus. So that's been fairly consistent. How do you feel about how Mike did in this particular issue?
Just it's everything that it has been. It's everything that you expect it to be. He doesn't skimp on anything. He does give a couple different. I noticed a little bit. I thought of different angles or perspectives a little bit in some of the panels. Not all of them, but a few were a little bit different or seemed a little bit fresh. And I just thought that, I mean, he's a consistent A. He's always an A. He just is.
Yeah, and I agree with you. This one felt like I a couple issues ago I felt like, oh, maybe it's not as strong versus I was obviously quite in love with the fact that Kirby was taking a break and that we were getting Don Heck over here at Avengers. So I may have been just like high on Heck over on Avengers side. This felt like a return to form for Sikowski. There were so many panels I was like looking at as far as my possible favorite panels. I will say anything that had Batman was strong for me. So I mean, I looked at this entire page and I was like, there are so many panels in here that I'm enjoying.
I have to say one thing about that page that you have up.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting though?
Yeah,
make yourself a touch bigger. That top panel.
Like that.
That top panel. Isn't it interesting how small the bat is on his chest? I was like, oh, that's different.
Sure. I just love it. But my favorite panel though is this one with the whole team. I love the facial expressions here. Wonder Woman looking just absolutely flabbergasted. Green Lantern looking like he's ready to just punch him out. I love it. Flash being the brains of the operations, just being like, wait, let's not kill him. Martian Manhunter with the Spock scowl. Like there's so much to enjoy here. And it just works. That's the team lineup. And of course, the best part about it is Peekaboo Aquaman again. Just one eye hiding in the background there. So that panel made me giggle. It had a lot of great character to it, and I just really, really enjoyed that for me.
Multiple panels are very good in this issue, and for me, there was just one standout panel though that I saw a few that I'm like, oh, that's definitely a contender. But usually, if I say it's a contender, it usually ends up being a runner-up. But I usually come to one I'm like, well, that's just the clear-cut winner. And when I think that, I usually very rarely change my mind. The clear-cut winner tonight was this panel.
Hey, look at us both. I love it.
Yeah, it was the clear-cut winner. There's some other good
so much
stuff,
fun.
but this was the one.
And I feel like we've been giving Don Heck a lot of praise the last couple of issues with the way he's been doing faces, the way he sort of has been giving a lot of depth and emotion in the characters' faces. But that panel right there, Sikowski just crushes it. And every face is doing something interesting and adding something and is true to the character in the moment. And yeah, really, really strong panel. I'm glad we both, that's fun. I don't think we've picked the same panel.
I don't think we have. We've come close. Like one of us will say, well, that was my runner-up. And or we flip-flopped where my runner-up was your favorite and your favorite was my runner-up. But no, that was
awesome. Okay, let's talk Avengers. What are your thoughts on what what Don Heck is doing over there this week or this month? Sorry.
Although
it says layout. Sorry, it says layouts by Kirby, pencils by Heck. So obviously this is a bit of a team up issue.
Before I start, I just want to give an acknowledgement, and maybe this is just a recoloring or remastering, but the coloring, like on panels like this, is so good.
Let me make
the coloring is really good on that. So I just want to acknowledge that the coloring, or at least if it's been remastered or what, I don't have an original to compare it to, but and sometimes you and I have noticed that there have been some coloring differences.
100%, absolutely.
But the coloring is it
really comes through, especially when they show the underground alien city. On page 9, there's some really great color work going on there.
I thought this was an interesting panel. It's not my favorite panel, but it's an interesting panel.
That is my favorite panel.
Is it? Okay.
And so I love it because it's so I hate Hank Pym. I'm just going to be flat honest. I think he is one of the. It's how poorly is the Wasp written, and how much time does Hank Pym get? Those are the deciding factors on me enjoying pretty much any Avengers book. And yeah, here he is just pounding on the floor, throwing a temper tantrum, and not working the problem. And I feel like he does that way too much in this issue, and it doesn't add the emotional heft that they think it's going to add. It doesn't make me feel like he's really suffering. Instead, it just makes him seem like a big baby. I love Iron Man, like patting him on the hip, like, it's okay, big guy. Like, we'll take care of you, buddy.
Just based on this panel, I was trying to imagine how he could even be in that room standing upright.
I just
it doesn't make sense.
I just don't even know. But yes, that one made me laugh a ton. But I did, my second favorite is if you go like 3 pages forward or 4 pages forward, you get the city where
I see it. I got it right here.
That's my runner-up. Yes, the color work on that. Again, there's been a few times Heck has given me Starlin kind of vibes, the outer space vibes, and that I got a lot of fun out of that. But that felt like an obvious pick, and I liked the character one. So the space version, whatever, is my runner-up. Overly melodramatic, I'll concede that.
So when it comes to
silly, Avengers is melodramatic. All right, there you go. You can be dissenting, Drew. We were happy to have dissension in the ranks because clearly, it happens plenty of times where we picked, like last week, we picked the Avengers issue, but I think the chat picked the Justice League.
Yeah,
it happens.
So for my favorite panel, I default to this a lot of times. I would not consider this character my favorite Avenger, but I pick this character many times as my favorite panel. Just imagine the panel I'm about to show. If this panel and this panel only was available as a print or a poster or a sign or whatever, I think that this works just on its own.
I love it.
I love the Avengers Assemble. Yeah, I love the Avengers Assemble and him saying, Earth must be saved, leave it once, or you fight us as well. I think that this looks like a panel that could be a poster or a print or something, you know?
Yeah. Make me bed sheets of that.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Such a great.
So that's the one I liked.
I love it. I'm glad you picked that one because I do feel like Thor does a ton of great stuff in this issue and that is drawn so. Don Heck does such a great job of capturing Thor. I know that over the years it seems like Jack Kirby is the one that's often given the praise for how well he does Thor. I'm seeing a Don Heck that at least deserves to be in that discussion for sure.
Sure.
Right. Iconic, says Drew. See, look, Drew, we're finally agreeing on something. There we go. And honestly, I think that's been the comment from you and I all the way to this point from Don Heck is how impressed we were with his taking over and how, I mean, I felt across the board, Don Heck has been superior on this title to Jack Kirby. So maybe that's not acceptable to say in mixed company, but I honestly I do like Don Heck's work more on this title than I like Kirby's. That's been my biggest takeaway.
I do too. But overall, with the art between the two books, there's good art in both books. The JLA still wins it for me, though.
And I'm with you. Yeah, I think this is a clear victory for me. And I may be allowing the frustration with the story in the Avengers book
very well
to bleed over to the interior artwork. It might be something where I need to go back and look at this issue from a visual only place.
I don't know, but this isn't that hot though.
I mean, Fat Baby is always enjoyable. And he does look like a Star Trek character. The next panel, go to the one right. Yeah. What is this? Come on, gang. Come on. Do we need flying Fat Baby? Like, come on.
But then I thought this was so much better, you know?
Yes. Again, I think his face work for the most part has been the biggest highlight in this era.
That, and not in every panel, but in most panels, he gave a lot more to the background than we had been getting before.
Which was the issue we had with Kirby a lot, was like, let me just draw a character and give you a red background or a blue background, and that's it.
Not doing anything more.
The Watcher rules. So yeah, I'm with you. I think interior artwork, I'm picking Sikowski this time, and I think it's really not a competition. I really do feel like he had the better work across the issue overall for me. But the chat is just Drew right now. If you're in the chat, let us know. Avengers, Justice League, you saw a ton of the interior artwork. Don Heck versus Mike Sikowski. Who is winning for you? So far, I heard Drew, but nobody else.
And if you're watching on the Rewind, you still can pop in the comment section too, because we are interested in what you have to say.
Absolutely. Please do it. We appreciate it big time.
Hey, Seeking Superman's here. Finally, we're going to get some DC love.
We got one for each now in the chat. As far as interior artwork, we got a hardcore JLA and a hardcore Avengers fan. I'm glad to have this. And this is what the show is all about, because it's not Ryan versus John. This is really book versus book, character versus character, writer, artist versus each other. It's a lot of fun having these discussions because these books are 60 years old. It's kind of fun to go back and enjoy them. Okay. Wrapping up interior art. Any last thoughts you have on that?
Nope.
All right. The final category is, for me, consistently the one I challenge myself with the most. This is the MVP, the character in the Justice League book and in the Avengers book that is the most valuable, the one that contributes the most to the plot, to the story, to the emotion, to the things happening in it. Which book do you want to do first?
Let's do Avengers.
Okay. For me, it's fairly clear.
Okay.
I'm going with Thor. I feel like Thor does the most. Not only is the guy that they has to rush off and find Svensson and fly him back, like nobody else is like getting involved here. He's also the one that like cracks the ground and helps them get down to the lower level. He's the one that like his hammer flies through and chills everybody out. He's the one that it feels to me like is carrying the load here for everybody else. He's also the one whose hammer finds the location in the North Pole. Like it feels consistently to me like this issue is a Thor brings the A game. What about you?
See, I picked somebody different, although I could probably easily concede to what you've said. I said, and when I initially say this, you're going to think to yourself, how could you pick this person? You know, but listen to my logic behind it. Sure. I actually picked Ant-Man for just a few reasons. Okay. Number one, it was his ants it was the determination from the ants, which was his contribution, that they knew that the real doctor had to be somewhere where ants couldn't be. And that would either be the North or the South Pole.
Okay. But he didn't figure that out because Thor had to tell him.
True, but they had to get led in that direction.
So he got the information. Thor did the analysis.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, even though he is very overly emotional and not put together in this issue, he has in one of those fits of rage, he shakes the doctor enough to at least get an answer that works. So
I'll give you that. He does shake some sense into the Doctor, which seems like a ridiculous plot point that is so vital to the story.
But it got the job done.
But he does it. Yeah.
But I'm willing to concede down to Thor.
I'll tell you, you have to, because I'm never going to.
Yeah, no, I will. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I'm not willing to let Hank Pym's tantruming win the day. He showed a range of emotion, and that scene, yeeting a handful of guys, he does. He throws them right over his shoulder like a sailor unloading potatoes or something. I don't know.
I Thor will be our Marvel one.
Yeah, I agree. He does show emotion, a range of emotion, Drew. I just don't think it's effectively shared. And I think it deadens what should be big character moments for him are lost. It's a shame. I don't understand this. Pear-shaped Green Lantern is a problem that must be addressed. I don't know what that means. A pear-shaped Green Lantern? I don't know. Okay,
it's
so
not apparent.
Let's talk JLA, because I don't feel like there's a question here. Like,
now see, I'm having a hard time narrowing down between two with JLA.
Really?
Yes.
I feel like it has to be the Atom. Like, I don't feel like there's another real choice here.
Okay,
he certainly.
Adam is one of my choices.
Okay, then I'll give you my criteria. You tell me if the other person outstrips what you're thinking here. Obviously, he's the one who discovers what's going on, right? And ultimately has to invade the bad guys and try to sock Batman in the face. They all get captured, so that counts against all of them. He's the one who has to break out of the little thing and free Green Lantern, then use Green Lantern's ring to stop the bomb, then free everybody else. So he gets a ton of credit for that. He's also the one who, at the end, what was it? No, I guess, I guess towards the end, he doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. But for me, like, all of that stuff is the stuff I picked that were kind of the factors for me. I'm assuming your alternative is the Green Lantern.
No, it's Martian Manhunter. And here's why. He's the one that went to Ivy Town to find Adam. He's the one that, if without his Martian vision, because Superman wasn't around, that's what traced them back to Professor Amos Fortune. So, but then at the same time too, so he was my first pick all along. And then as we were going through the story, even while I was recapping it, I'm thinking to myself, if it wasn't for Adam, though, they wouldn't have even made it to that stage.
I mean, yeah, he's got to do some big moves. I like how he used Green Lantern's ring.
I did like that too.
Utilize the strength of another member of the team. So, the ingenuity of that, the quick thinking of that, I appreciated a ton. But you're right. I mean, obviously, Manhunter does a bunch. Something to think about. They don't tell you who built the chair that elevates Atom up. That might be a deciding factor.
All right, Daddy.
In JLA, it's Batman. That doesn't jive. No. If Batman had solved the mystery of who the villain was, I might concede what you're saying. But Batman ultimately acts like he can't figure anything out in this. Okay, so we've got. Are you willing to say Atom versus Thor here?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right. Who? This is the last part, gang. This is where you in the chat get to vote. We've got Atom or versus Thor. Who is the best MVP overall between the two books? Who is the one to rule them all? Is it Atom or is it Thor?
But if Thor's so good, how come his hammer didn't get him the real doctor? Didn't take him to the real doctor?
His hammer, did kind of take him on a circuitous kind of journey.
It wasted time, valuable time that they...
It didn't take him to the North Pole and have him dig down. Yeah.
So...
This is tricky.
I don't know.
I'm very split on this. I would be curious to hear, besides Drew, who's voting in the chat. Drew, you are a participator, my friend. You are an active participator, and I appreciate you in a big way. But other people can vote too.
Yeah, come on, Glenn. Throw your 2 cents in, even if it's Marvel.
You're like,
so throw it in.
Give us another vote. Yeah. I feel like I keep dinging Avengers for the story overall and not necessarily focusing on the character. I do feel like Thor does a ton of literal and figurative heavy lifting here. I think his hammer. I mean, if I was just voting for Mjolnir, I mean, maybe Mjolnir is the most valuable player here. The hammer does a lot of the work.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to pick Thor in the end here, because I just feel like he does more across the book than maybe Atom, like we were saying, is more in the front half. So I'm gonna go Thor. Actually, I'm gonna vote Thor.
My gut says to stick with Adam, so I'm gonna
Is
get
that a clean
outvoted
sweep?
on it tonight, and that's okay.
That's a clean sweep for you. I like that.
It is so far, yeah. I told you, I just really last time it was complete other way. I was all about Avengers the entire way. Even my girl Wonder Woman being in there, I was still all about.
That's the fun. We're reading these with fresh eyes, trying to imagine being a kid reading these things back in the day. And I think there's a little bit of joy that can happen with that. And you just never know what these books are going to bring you, gang. So there you go. So far, Drew is holding it down, and we're about to enter the final stage here, friends. So I'm putting this banner up. I am dropping the link now. So this is your overall voting. I'm saying vote now. Everybody gets one vote, and you are deciding which was the better comic book. You know, Drew Manchu, he's throwing in that Avengers. Do you agree with him? Leave your comments there in the chat, and we will decide. I think this is pretty clear for you, Ryan. Do you have any thoughts you want to add about where? Because obviously it was a clean sweep. I don't even think there's any question, right?
No, it's Justice League for me. So
yeah. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to say about it?
It was more fun. The other one seems too heavy and too. The other one just kept irritating me, to be honest with you. So,
for me, the heavy doesn't bother me. If it had been the right kind of emotional weight, and it was like distressful and intense, I would have been in for it. But it felt like such a missed opportunity. Like they had a pitch thrown right down the middle, and they just fouled it off. They swung and missed, whatever. Like, use your sports metaphor the way you want to do it. It was a missed opportunity, a big missed opportunity. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm voting Justice League personally. So that means if nobody else votes, we get to be the tiebreaker because we are in agreement. Right now we have one Avenger, and Seeking Superman has thrown in a one JLA. So if you're not Drew and you're not Seeking Superman and you're in the chat, you can vote the deciding vote right now and make it so that Ryan and I are unimportant on this show, like we often are.
If you're watching on the rewind and the one that you wanted to win didn't win, well, unfortunately, we can't do anything about that now. However, you can join us for the next episode and make sure that your vote gets hit on that live chat.
Right. Absolutely. So voting matters. Get in there, gang. And I wanted to say overall, yeah, I just think this felt like a classic Silver Age Justice League of America issue. Silly, goofy, funny, well drawn, and with some fun twists that I didn't see coming. Versus the Avengers book, just that missed opportunity that kept coming up over and over again. My dog is watching. Drew, your dog is valuable. Does not get to vote. No votes for dogs. The next episode of this show will be over. You voted JLA. Will be over on Ryan's channel. Usually it's one a month, so you can expect somewhere in July. We will be over on Ryan's channel. His link's down there. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. We usually do this show on Wednesday nights, so somewhere on a Wednesday in the next month. But my Tuesdays are now suddenly open for the next few months. So some opportunities for that as well. Ryan, this has been a whole lot of fun, as always. Love the discussions. Love the interactions.
If it's okay, I'd like to plug my channel.
Please do. What's coming up?
So, of course, I have my back issue of the week YouTube short, which I've been doing consistently for like 4 years now. It's crazy that it's been that long, and I haven't missed one. I have a Batman and Demon Brave and the Bold team up. That is the current back issue of the week. And then my comic book editions video, it actually dropped last week, and I'm holding it over for this week. It's getting an encore week showing. I had this amazing untold story from C2E2 where I picked up a Jenny Frison Grail.
Yep.
And I'll go ahead right now and just say it's a book from her personal collection. Wasn't it just a Jenny Frison book that I bought somewhere else? It's a Jenny Frison book that's a ghost. You can't find it anywhere. It never was for sale. It came from her personal collection. It's signed. It got graded. I tell the whole story of how I got this, how I had lost sleep thinking about how I was going to try to get this comic book into my collection. Yep. And that video is up on my channel right now, getting some nice views. And thank you to everyone who has watched. And I hope someone will.
It's a great story, and I know I had been spoiled on it in advance because you and I had talked about it a ton, and I knew the drama going into it. But it was fun to see you retell it, knowing how it had worked out in the end.
It does. Spoiler, it ends in a happy way. So
which only YouTube can provide. Lasso those viewers in. Lasso those viewers.
And also, before we get ready to wrap up, because we're about to wrap up any second, I do want to wish you a very happy birthday this upcoming weekend, and hope that all your wishes come true for this next year of life. And thank you for everything that you contribute to my life and the comic book community's life. I'm sure that you juggle a lot of hats, being a husband, a father, a teacher, a YouTube influencer, and a friend to so many. So I just want to congratulate you. And even though once in a blue moon, like last night, you're mean to me, I just forgive you for that. And that's going to be my present to you this year, is I'm forgiving you for all the mean things you said to me last night.
Thank you. That's fair. 2-time prize winner last night. Yep.
Grand prize winner, including the grand prize.
I'm saying. Yeah. Big
Even
time.
Though you put all that negative mojo in the air for me. And I'm sitting here going, this mojo is killing me.
Yep. It was very entertaining, though. Very entertaining.
But sincerely, happy birthday in advance. And
thanks,
I hope
buddy.
This is one of the best year. This upcoming year for you is a year that's so better than you even ever thought it could be.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been wonderful so far. I've been able to hang out with a lot of great community members, and I'm going to see a bunch more over the next few months. I'm very excited, whether it's at SDCC, whether it's at Whitewell Comics Wedding in Orlando, or whether it's JP potentially coming and staying with me for a little bit this fall. I'm excited for all of that, and thanks for all the kind words, man. I had a great Father's Day weekend, so I don't know how I can top it with a birthday weekend, but I'm gonna give it a try.
Awesome.
Well, the votes seem to be in. We are the deciding vote, so it seems to be a JLA victory tonight, unless somebody says something before the time is dropped here. As a reminder, I'm going live Saturday morning, but I'm going to do it from the garage as I start packaging up the prize winnings that I'm shipping back.
Is this the garage gym?
Sadly, it should be, but it has not become yet.
Yeah. I should say something too. I'm sorry not to cut you off or anything. I have Candice Barbosa as a guest on your birthday night, this Sunday night, and it's her first time guesting on Fanboys Live in the Retro Review, and she said she's a little nervous because she doesn't kind of know what she's getting herself into. But I said, Candice, I'm not going to let you fall. We're gonna have fun. So
I'm gonna pick you up.
Yeah.
Yes. I believe in you. I don't have any other live streams scheduled for right now, but I'll go live Saturday morning as per usual. And then next week is pretty much wide open. So I got to start booking some things. I'm not used to having so little on my schedule, but I'm kind of looking forward to a little more freedom as far as live streams go. And as always, videos dropping Mondays and Thursdays here on the channel. So definitely check in. New stuff coming every week. And I will catch you guys all again soon. Congratulations to the Justice League yet again.
Bye.